Gaywyck by Vincent Verga. Publisher Allison Books, Los Angeles, New York. Narrator Eric Aust. 3 mornings later, Brian woke me with a cup of hot chocolate in one hand and a saucer of fish for Kale in the other. I made room for him to sit by my side. He was excited and threw open the drapes before alighting on the bed. Midwinter spring had come at last. It was time to go out and take pictures with my new camera. Soon after my arrival from the city, he had helped me clean out the old darkroom off the laundry room. He checked the chemicals, reordered the ones no longer usable, and prepared the room for my first experiments in developing. Together we read through the collection of photography manuals alone. I had picked through the photographic images assembled by Mr. Gaylord for Cormac to study and appreciate. The art room cabinet held hundreds of such images. The shelves housed dozens of albums by Brady, Decor, Maybridge, and Nepis. I had proudly displayed my Eastman's Kodak detective camera at tea, and babbled on about an article I'd read years ago in Harper's Magazine by Mr. F.C. Beach on the taking of instantaneous pictures. Suddenly, Jones expressed interest, whereupon Keyes announced directly he would instruct us in the correct way to approach the science. Denvers forthwith communicated a desire to share his knowledge of the accidental art. At that point, Brian and I became conspirators. It was us against them. He wanted an image of the mudflats. Cormac photographed them superbly, I said, sipping my chocolate. I don't care what he did. The pictures are wonderful, Brian. Mine should be half as fine. He had a painter's eye for line and perspective. I don't care what he did. They were always fighting about his pictures. Once his mother wanted him to photograph her, and he wouldn't. He took pictures of everyone swimming instead. She cried. I hated him for that. When was that? I didn't see anybody swimming. A long time ago, before my accident. The plates are in the storage bin downstairs. I saw them when I was cleaning up. Everybody's naked. I wanted to question him further about his accident, but somehow didn't dare. I wonder what else he photographed that's not upstairs, I asked, remembering Mortimer's mention of the waterfall image. He photographed his brother and his naughty father. Brian and I was startled by the sound of Jones speaking from the doorway. When we didn't respond, he continued, I heard you chatting away like a polybird, and I couldn't figure out who was with you. I thought he was a dummy. He laughed, his sneaky, dirty laugh. I hated him. Leave us alone, Jones. I just come in to answer your question, Robbie boy. Which question? I asked, victim again of my own curiosity. Cormac's pictures, all line and perspective. He photographed himself and his holy brother. If you're good to me, I'll give you one of his pictures of his brother. Yeah, you, especially you, Robbie boy, will be real glad to have one. He laughed again, the meanest laugh imaginable for turning himself out of the room. I hate him, Brian muttered. He's the lowest. Not the lowest. Cormac was lower. Thank Christ I never met him. I wish I never had. The photography was more than fun. It was, from the first moment I looked through the eye of the camera, the most exhilarating creative experience of my life. All of my instincts for form and balance asserted themselves, directing me and the machines. I felt an immediate affinity for the visual exercise. As proof, I offer the fact that one of the 9 plates I exposed was exhibited at my first show in New York in 1914. With Brian's expert assistance, I carried camera, tripod, plates, and a small basket of foods around the grounds, photographing the main house, the cottage, the ocean, and the mudflats. With Brian standing in center, arms extended, head thrown back, laughing self-consciously. He had a wonderful afternoon, and we're looking forward to spending the next in the darkroom. But an incident occurred that put all ideals of pleasure out of my mind. My wristwatch disappeared. I had purposely removed it before going out with Brian. When I returned to my room, it was not where I had left it. I distinctly remembered placing the treasured gift in the large white clamshell on my dresser top. Frantically searching the apartment, I looked inside everything that opened, underneath everything that lifted, and behind everything that moved. The watch was nowhere to be found. I went to Brian and asked for his advice. Together, we went to Ambrose, who insisted the staff scour the rooms I frequented. It won't do no good. You mark my words. We glanced at one another, not willing to speak our minds. If we could not censor our thoughts, we could keep from uttering the damning accusation and sowing more discord. At tea, Jones's loquacity annoyed me. I studied him while he babbled about the splendors of Gaywyck and did not flinch when he showered bits of cheese on my arm in his raptures over the dolmen, where he had been sitting for most of the afternoon with Keys. All this struck me as building an alibi. My watch has misplaced itself, I suddenly announced. You mean you lost it, Robbie boy? No, I mean it is gone. Mislaid? Keys queried, eyes wide. Perhaps. There was a chorus of concerned noise. Everyone promised to recover my precious trinket. At the dinner table that night, it transpired that a search had been conducted, but uncovered nothing resembling my watch, though Keys discovered a long-lost cufflink and requested we add its mate to our list of lost treasures. I was not angered by the charade, having experienced little else from them. Late that night, when I turned out my light, I had two visitors. The first knocked gently on my door. Danvers entered, evidently deeply distressed, after mentioning the loss of my watch, which he claimed prevented his sleeping. He casually asked, after a very tense pause, if I thought Jones might have taken it. I have no proof. I speak not yet of proof. I have suspicions. You don't like them? No. I've never tried to hide my dislike for him. Could that have any influence on your suspicions? What do you think? There was a hesitation. His lamp began to smoke. He extinguished it and lit the one on my bedside table, exchanging it for his. I noticed his trembling hand. He's a desperately lonely, sad boy. He's not like us. He needs so much. Are you saying I should let him keep my watch? I'm asking you to be patient with him. His needs are so great. We can never control another's needs. It's difficult enough controlling our own. We can only hope to accept them and understand their power, and what is love but need? He was talking to himself. I was moved by the force of his distraction and the thoughts he spoke aloud. I had never equated love with need. Love as the gratification of needs. Be patient with him, Robert, please. For me, be patient. Why for you? For Keys, I could understand, but why for you? There was another silence charged with the stillness of truth. I love him. Passion needs small evidence. What could I say? I love him, he repeated in a stronger voice. I love him, and he allows me to love him. Forgive me, Robert, but here I stand, his slave, a poor, infirm, weak, and despised old man. He began to weep. Sitting in the side of my bed, he turned his face away from me. Danvers, I never thought. You never thought what? That I was fit to love or be loved? I never imagined. I love him. I want you to treat him decently. For me, please? Yes. Yes, of course I will. He rose and walked to the door, wiping his face with a handkerchief. I called him back and handed him the lamp. He thanked me and slowly returned to the doorway, where he paused and asked without turning, Has he been visiting you at night? No. Once he did for a few minutes. Why? He was gone. I settled back under the covers and tried to grasp the impact of what had just passed between us. A sneeze in the other room warned me the evening was not yet ended. Jones appeared, barefoot, carrying no lamp. He curled on the bottom of my bed. Cale stirred. I pulled my legs away from him into the circle of warmth. where Denver's had been sitting. "Well, Robbie boy, what did old Denny have to say for himself?" "Something tells me you have a very good idea." "Hmm? Why did you steal my watch?" "I never touched your fucking watch." "Go to bed." "I can't right now. In a little while." "Why?" "Can't you guess?" "No." "You're a blind ass, and you think you're so smart. That's what kills me." I shrugged my shoulders. I was not comfortable with this conversation. "Robbie boy, I'm going to tell you something for your own good." "I don't want to hear it." "I'm going to tell you anyways." I groaned and thought, by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. "I know just what I want, Robbie boy. I've been poor like you can't never imagine. I want to be rich, and I know how I'm going to do it." "Nobody has any money here." "No, but he does." "No one tells him what to do, Jones," I sputtered, sitting up. "Someone did before," he said, laughing at my consternation, "and someone will again." "Are you saying you will?" "I'm not saying anything, Robbie boy. I'm telling, for your own good." He took a brown envelope, legal size, from inside his robe. "Here's a present, something to paste in your journal and use on cold nights to heat yourself up." I waited for him to go before opening the envelope. In order for me to see the contents clearly, I would have to go into the sitting room for a lamp. I did not move. I was afraid to see what that evil runt had dropped upon me. I took Cale into my arm and hugged him closely. In the morning, I hid the unopened envelope. At breakfast, I was aware of Jones observing me. I pretended not to notice. We managed to get through the meal with no nasty complications. I went for a long walk after breakfast. I thought about Denver's and then about my own position vis-a-vis Seth Jones and Danough Gaylord. I decided I was dramatizing the entire meager incident. Nothing the gutter snipe could do would ever harm my employer. If love was need, then that explains so much. After luncheon, Brian and I developed my photographic place in the darkroom. An image of the left wing of Gaywyck, taken from the back lawn, was perfectly composed, but ruined by a smudge on my bedroom window. "That's no smudge," Brian corrected. "It's a woman standing in your bedroom window." Rushing to the library, we found a magnifying glass on my desk and held it over the photograph. I was electrified by what I saw. Brian paled. Framed in my window stood the Rossetti figure, and like the canvas in the attic of the cottage, the figure had no face. In front of her head, she held an open fan. I pretended not to recognize it. "Who is she, Brian?" He shrugged and mumbled he did not know. It looked familiar, but he could not place it. He opted for a ghost. He had always wanted to talk to a ghost. "Oh, dear sir, I would not speak to a ghost for the world," I quoted Otranto's Bianca, trying to sound playful. "I've seen her before," he whispered excitedly. "Where?" I don't remember." "She's too tall to be anyone we know." "A ghost should be big." "Not when they are standing in my room." We looked from the photograph to each other, then back to the photograph. I was confused and frightened, but also relieved to see my nightmares based on an objective reality. A ghost was an attractive alternative to madness. I lunged at any possibility and clutched the photograph to me. We decided not to mention the apparition because there was no one with whom we wished to share it. It was our secret. Later, it became our mistake, and we shared the consequences. I left him and returned to my room, tucking the new photograph into the envelope. With whatever Jones had given me, there was an ominous aura of the fearsome and accursed about the packet. Again, Jones came to my room. I wanted to lock my doors, but knew Cale would never tolerate it. I could handle a nocturnal visit from the pathetic snake across the hall with his delusions of conquering Danough Gaylord. "Did you like your present?" "If you want seconds, just let me know." I picked that one because it's funny, and I wanted you to have a laugh. The other ones I got are more serious, worth a lot more. Get out of here, slime. I don't want you stinking up my rooms again. He slid off my bed and patted my hair. Before I could move away, Kale clawed him. He leaped back, whining. I need a friend, Robbie boy. I guess you ain't him. Too bad. I hate you. Now, Robbie boy, don't blame me. I didn't do nothing. I didn't take those dirty pictures. I didn't cut the old man's fingers off. I didn't hack off baby Brian's pecker when he wouldn't roll over. You bastard, I hissed and punched him in the chest, knocking him to the floor where he sprawled laughing at me. You're a devil, I said, leaping out of my bed on the side furthest from him and holding a growling Kale in my arms. The old man says this place is consecrated to the devil. Yeah, think he means hey? He asked, grinning, rising to his feet. I don't want to hurt you, Robbie boy, but you're a fucking idiot, and if you get in my way, get back into the bed before I beat you bloody. The rage in his voice made me nauseous with fear. I did what he ordered. Before I could phrase a retort, he was gone. I remembered how peaceful life was before his arrival, how safe and comfortable I was. Tormented, I wanted all change to be pleasant. Now the peace was irretrievably gone. Like so much else, it slipped through my hands. I should have gripped it more tenaciously. I should have. Horribly wakeful after Jones left me, I lit the lamp and took the journal from its now new hiding place. I could not write a coherent line in my heart. There was a churning. Suddenly I knew what had to be done. I have decided to leave the cloister, I wrote to Danough Gaylord, and would be pleased to accept any type of employment in your office. There was no need for me to invent some baroque excuse. I stated simply that I had acquired a taste for New York City after my successful Christmas visit. Gaywyck bored me. I concluded with, the time for solitude has ended, and I am tired of seclusion. I sealed the letter, planning to mail it from Sterling Harbor the next day. They would manage very well without me, I reasoned. In a few weeks, Denver would come to his senses, his needs fulfilled. He would see Jones for the garbage he was. Keith, too, would survive this absurd infatuation, which surely involved no more than a little lace and too much rouge. Was it so harmful, their pandering to Jones when love was involved? Used to the streets, he would overplay his hand, underestimating the intelligence of his fellow players. Everything would in time clear itself up, disentangle, go away. I felt restored. Still too restless to sleep, I decided to read. During the previous days, I had been gripped by Darwin's Voyage of the Beagle. After my walk along the shore, I had retreated from the book to Library 2, where I had left it, lighting the old rush lamp I used late at night, preferring it to the glare and the bulk of the newer lamps. I made my way silently into the hallway. Kale walked beside me. The door to Jones's apartment was open, and the sound of a stifled scream held me in mid-step. I heard gasps and moans coming from the bedroom. Its partially open door cast a narrow path of light, which I followed. Sprawled on the bed, the disheveled blankets revealing his naked back and thigh. Denvers muffled his hysteria by burying his face in the pillow, with a sense of scarlet shame at invading such a private moment. I returned to my room, needing the book more than ever. Now I set out again, after reassuring myself that the missing Jones had not tampered with my sealed letter. Once I held the Darwin, I blew out the lamp, knowing the brightness of the moon would light the way back. Stepping gingerly into the upper hallway, I hurried to the shallow stairs at the end. My shadow-like presence in the small landing's mirror was suddenly clarified by the opening of a door behind me. Pressing against the wall, I watched the reflections. Seth Jones, naked, pranced slowly into the square of golden light emanating from Keyes' bedroom. A hand thrust his black robe after him. Dreamily the boy took the garment, and laughed when the hand dropped to grope between his legs. Tossing the robe over his slender shoulders, he sped down the hallway with the silken fabric floating like shimmering bat's wings above his pale form. The door opened slowly. Unwillingly, I stood gazing into the darkened mirror. They say vampires don't reflect, I thought grimly. Once back in my room, I tore up my letter to Danough Gaylord. There was more falseness and more cowardice there than I cared to acknowledge. I did want to return to New York, but not from boredom. I wanted to go because everything seemed fine and good there, the way things had been at Gaywyck before Jones arrived. I wanted to escape from Gaywyck. I brought out the envelope Jones had given me, and, overcoming my fears, opened it. Behind my own photograph of the house, with the mysterious presence in the window, I found a sheet of white paper with a note scrawled in crude lettering. There is more hidden. Only I know the place. And then a short paragraph followed that made me cry aloud. It was obviously from Danough Gaylord's diary. How had Jones gotten it? The selected portion read, "To September 1882. There are secrets in this house to bring down the stars, secrets to make Lucifer weep for having brought light to the likes of us." I looked at the photograph. I heard Jones repeating over and over and over again. I picked that one because it's funny. The other ones I got are more serious. Worth a lot more. Worth a lot more. A lot more. In the photograph, a young Danough Gaylord naked, but for the flashing ring on his right pinky, took the pose successfully of the Cellini sitar in the orangery, about the same age as Jones when the image was made. Danough Gaylord looked as ferocious and as sexually violent as the statue he mimicked. I could not connect the brutally perverse nakedness with the placid natural wonder I had watched bathing in the moonlight that Indian summer night. Cale leaped onto the desk and sat on the photograph when I touched him. A purr burst from the throat. "Cale, I won't leave. Danough needs me. I must do battle with his devils." After burning the picture in the fireplace, I dressed and went outside into the pre-dawn light, where the night was dying and the day was not yet nascent. I walked down the back lawn to the beach and along the beach to the jetty. There was no wind, not even a breeze. The calmness of the sea reassured me. I clambered up over the rocks at the jetty's end. I waited for the sunrise. Months before, I had stood in the same place at the same ghostly hour, between night and day, but similarities ended there. The previous time, I had been troubled by lies. Now, I was troubled by truth. Then, I had resolved to fight for my own peace. Now, I was resolved to fight for his. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. The light from the sun's first rays tinted the oval window, investing its depths with life. "Polyphemus, I will know what secret you are guarding." The light on the panes grew brighter. "Rage, Polyphemus, rage. All the terrors of the earth shall not make me weep. I will bid the thunder-bearer shoot." Cale scampered over the rocks. I gave chase. Laughing, I greeted the sun, feeling its equal. I was ready to vanquish the dark and rescue, with love, all living things. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold: to offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides, and in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.